Well, congratulations. You've made it to the very end of this series, Weeds in My Garden. And I truly hope that as we've been bringing things into the light the last few months, opening up the conversation, that we're making it okay to maybe not be or feel okay. And that basic starting point has launched you on a path towards healing. And I believe that God cares about this stuff primarily because He cares about you. So as we think back over the last several weeks and where we have been, we started with saying it's okay to not be okay, and Jesus wants to make us healthy and whole, right? Living the full and abundant life. And then Dan helped lay more foundation by saying that you are known and you're loved and you are accepted by God as you are. And with those two truths, we just started tackling tough issues each week. Right? We talked about trauma and depression and self-harm. Last week, my wife Chris shared a lot of her own personal journey, specifically with anxiety. And now that we've laid a lot of the cards on the table, it's time to figure out what we're going to do from here. Because let's say you have identified something in your life the last few weeks that you want to be different. You could continue to ignore it, right? You could say, this is just the way it's always going to be. Or you could say, a change would just be too difficult, or some other kind of response. Or you can finally say, something has to change and I need to take a step towards it. And I love this phrase that we said on Sunday, I may have weeds in my garden, but I have a good gardener. The first step towards health and healing is going to be to answer the question, do I really want to get well? And when you can answer that with a confident and resounding yes, it will likely help you determine where you need to go from here. So, as we said in the message, God will do one of two things when you release this to Him, right? He will either remove it from your life, or He will, as we said, redeem it in your life. Real quick, let's talk about removing it. And He may do that after a time of prayer and pleading. You're asking Him, God, please remove this from my life, and He might do it. Or you may need to start a conversation with your family about how you're feeling, and through that, God removes it. You might need to go to the doctor and just have a checkup, or start a little medication and God will remove it that way. Or some of us need to step into a counselor's office and God will remove this thing through the guidance of others. But there's likely a next step you can take based on what you've uncovered the last few weeks. Now, if God doesn't choose to remove it at this time, He will always redeem it. Meaning He will use what you have been through and are going through to help other people, and in the process tell a much greater story. That's part of why we heard from Chris last week, or Dustin this past Sunday, or when we hear someone else share their story, it can encourage us to open up and share our story. So how might God want to use what you've been through to help someone else through? And I want to keep pointing you to the resource page on our website, ChristchurchCamden.com. There, right on the front page, you'll find the resources for this series. Phone numbers, web links, articles, a list of counselors. Now, you likely have a lot to discuss, especially as we try to wrap up. Keeping in mind that just because this is your last time to maybe sit together as a group and talk, many of us are going to continue to deal with mental health issues. So find a way to stay in touch, encourage one another, and keep taking next steps in community as you rely on God as the good gardener that He is.